Okay, so for today's class, we're going to look at how to deal with response from our login user.php. So login user.php, basically this script here, but your script from your previous class, you don't have this section here. Okay, so you don't have this section where the response that we provided to the application only success or fail, okay, with no data. So whenever you want to log in, all right, so this is a login, not registration, because during registration we just want to have user registration status, either it is a success or not. But in this case, when we want to log in, once users successfully log in, we want to retrieve all the users' information. We want to get all the users' information. We don't have that information in the application itself, but the user information all basically available in the database. Okay, so we need database. We need to pull the data from the database. So here, basically, where we pull data from database and store the data into an array called user list. This while statement here, this while block here, this basically iterate the data from database if it found something, it found the data. All right. So we found the data through num row. So if num row more than 0, this is a MySQLi object oriented. Okay, so you have MySQLi procedural, you have MySQLi object oriented, and the other one you have PDO. Okay, so usually for web application, I use PDO. Here also, it is suitable to use PDO because PDO is much better in terms of support. It support a wide range of SQL type database. There are a numbers of SQL database such as Microsoft database, Oracle, SQL database, and if you use PDO, which is one of the method that you can use to connect to database, PHP also support PDO. Okay, so PDO is much better if you want to migrate or if you want to use a different type of SQL database. Because here in UEM, we use MySQL. Reason being is that MySQL is free. Okay, they are totally free. You can use them for free. There's no charge. You can download XAMPP, LAMP, WAMP. So everything comes with MySQL database. They are free. But out there in the industry, you have a different type of SQL database. My is different. My comes with MySQL. Okay, the names. My is the inventor's daughter's name. MySQL. Okay, the inventor, I forgot the names of the inventor. So he named the database name MySQL. It is the name of the database. Okay. But there are also a different database that also support SQL database, which is from Microsoft, from Oracle, from other type of provider, developer. So PDO, with PDO, it basically allow you to do that, to connect to them. Okay, MySQLi, the one that I use here, this is only for MySQL database. The method that I use here is a object-oriented MySQLi. MySQLi. All right. So do understand the difference. Okay, here the example that I used during the development of this book, I used MySQLi. But then later on, because I'm not familiar with PDO before, but then once I've played around with PDO, then I get comfortable with PDO. I would suggest if you want to learn PDO, so you can go for PDO. Okay, because it support a much larger database, SQL database. Right, but here, MySQLi, object-oriented. The other one is procedural. Okay, the older version is a procedural. You can use either, but this can only connect to MySQL. All right. All right, so coming back to this, so what you have here is a simple array, which is defined by the user list array. So we iterate the database by using row fetch association, right? So create a database, create array, and then start with assigning value to the array. So for example, ID, get from the row user ID. This is from database, and this side here for the key value. Okay, so left side key value, you can actually give any names that you like. But usually, if you want to make it easier, you can just use the same name, also should be no problem. But here, I just try to avoid confusion. Okay, so ID, username, name, email, user email, phone, user phone, address, user address, rec date, user date rec. Okay, but if you want to have the same names, so that it is easier for you to manage your data through your application, also should be no problem. But do understand that the left side is the key. The right side is the data. Okay, the data from your database, the row from your database. So it must be the same name. All the field name here. Okay, they must be the same. So once you have that, so since there's only one data response, okay, when you perform the SQL query here, select all from table user where user email equal this. So this will only either return 1 or 0. 0 means that no data found. So if no data found, this is the response, which is fail and no data. So we didn't pass any data because there's no data to pass. But if there's data to pass, one data, so we build this array. So once you build the array, you want to pass the data back to the application. So we build the response array, which later on send to the JSON response. And then the JSON response will encode into JSON data. Okay, JSON data type. And always, whenever you build API, application programming interface, the written data always in JSON data format. Okay, this is the standard nowadays. Okay, the standard nowadays, any API will return JSON data. Okay, will always return JSON data. Before this, we have XML, but XML no longer becomes, or even CSV. Okay, even CSV. CSV, the comma separated, the one that you use from your Excel file. So now JSON data is much better in terms of data written. So we built that, and then of course we pass data as a user list, which is this one. So when you have the data response back to the application, which is here, received by the login screen. Received by the login screen. So the login screen will ask and pass email and password and then wait for the response. So this is where we have our response. Down here. There you go. So that's the response, which is from this block. You can see the yellow block there. This is yellow. This is the response that we wait from the server. So what we have, this one just to print out response. Okay. So you've seen the data before. So let me just turn off all this first. Okay, and let's see the result in our debug console at the bottom. All right. Go to seller page, log in, and try to log in. There you go, down there. You can see this is our response from the server. This is the response from server, which provide us with user data. So you have data there, ID, name, email, phone, address, rec date. So those information that comes from your server. Right, so if you put this into your JSON editor online, you want to see the data structure? Right, so there you go. So you have your data and you have your API status. Okay, you have your API status success, data ID, name, email, phone, address, and rec date. So this is the data that we want. Okay, so and we can use this data and then perform I need to disable all this first. Because this will push to all right, so let me try that one more time. So this is the JSON response. Everything's recording, right? So this is the JSON data. So if I try this one more time, yeah, forgot about the network. Now I need to check again my network because I am now on a different network. The Wi-Fi is working. So now you can see that my address is 172. Oh, sorry, 192. This one. So to work with new address again. Change the address from this to the new address. And I need to reload. Okay, reload the new IP address. And check my local host. Is it working or not? Should be working. Yeah, it's working. All right, so one more time. Right, there you go. Right, so there's a difference here. This is the difference. One, this is JSON data. This is processed or decoded JSON data. If you take this one and put it into your it would not JSON data. Okay, this is decoded data. And this decoded data now can be used by our application. Okay, you need to decode the data, the JSON data, and then you can use the data in the application. So that's the difference there. You can clearly see two different ones with a quoted and the other one without the quoted string. All right. So there you go. Here. Okay. So now we have the data. What to do with the data now? So once you have the data, of course, you want to share the data with your application. And unfortunately, each of the classes here, okay, each of the classes that you've seen here, main screen, profile screen, the seller screen, so they don't have that information. They don't have the user information. If you move or if you navigate from one screen or one class to the other class, or the data within the class is not available unless you pass the data. Okay, you pass the data between classes. So now you have a class, you have the data. Now you want to pass the data, and this is where object-oriented programming shine, because you can create data model. Okay, you can create data model. So that's why now, based on this information, we can create what we call as a model for the user. So this is the model for the user. So from here, so you've seen there, this is the JSON data format. So this is the data model, the user data model. So user data model, usually just a standard or a typical class that define an object. Okay, so you've learned this during your Java programming too, when you deals with user class creation. Okay, so what we have here is just a standard class definition, which is define all the variables. Okay, ID, name, email, phone, address, and correct date, and all basically defined as string, but you can change depend on your or on your data type. But to make things easier, I just use everything defined as string. And then there's a constructor here. So this is a constructor which basically define the data. And down here, this is basically the best thing about Flutter, okay? Which can do what we call as auto mapping. Either you want to convert data from JSON, which is the data from JSON, and convert into data, or you want to convert the array to JSON. Okay, so this is the, what we call it, function or methods that we have in Dart or in Flutter. So how do you actually generate this? We have a tool, actually. Okay, we have a tool. There are two tools here, but the one that I used recently is this one. This is an online tool, basically allow you to convert any JSON data array or data that you get from JSON into a class, okay, which is very, very easy to use. So for example, the second tool here from Javier, which convert JSON data into Dart class. So what you need now is just get your JSON data. So the JSON data that we need is this JSON data, the user. You don't have to take everything, okay? But you can only take this one, should be okay. Because you want to generate user data model. So all the data basically within this curly bracket. Okay, you just take this one and then put it into the tools. Okay, so put all the data, the JSON data respond in the tools and provide your class name. So let's say this is class for user. So all you have to do is just give the class name and generate that. This, it will basically do this automatically for you. You just cut things short. So you don't have to do all the writing. Definitely you can do that. Okay, you can do that one by one. So it should be no problem. But here there's a tools. Once you generate your JSON data, so if your JSON data is about an object, you can create class out of it. So you can create class user based on that information alone. And now you can just copy all this and then put it into your data model, create a user.dart, and then dump everything into this. And you might need to do some modification, like for example, here I put everything as required. So required means that whenever I define or I create the user object, all these parameter is a required parameter that I have to provide. Okay, I have to provide. And the class, the object cannot be created if I did not provide all this data. It won't allow me to create that. So I need to provide all the data information, all the parameter for the constructor. So that what happened here. So once you have your user data object ready, you just put it inside here, and then you should be able to have your class data model ready. So usually I put it into a models folder. So anything related to the application that I can create a data model. So I put it into model folder. So easier for me to do management later. So once you have your data object, now you can create an object so you can see it down here. This one. All right, so this section here, this code segment here, this is a typical way of creating object. Okay, so you have the name of the object is user equal user. All right, so the from JSON here, this basically the functions that you've seen here, the from JSON, which automatically do the mapping and then assign to the constructor here. So this is basically a very handy features provided by Flutter that allow you to do auto mapping, or else you need to create one by one, something like this. So if you don't want to do like this is quite short. Definitely you can do something like this, but this can be a little bit longer. So usually you define an object as search. This is just object name equal user. So this is basically a typical way of user object creation. So you have user object, but now you can see there's an error there. This is basically because of the missing required argument, because I set everything as required. The data is a required data. You have to provide the data. So you have to provide the data. So in that case, you need to be able to provide the data. So for example, the first data that you need defined here. Let's start with ID. Okay, so you need to provide ID. And then second data that you need to provide is email. Okay, you need to provide email here. Third data, because all required data. Okay, all basically required data. Name. Okay, provide names. And then phone. Because all string data, you can straight away use that. Address. And finally, rec date. So here I just define everything as empty, as a string, empty string. So now you can have a user object define or required parameter here. This is your passing argument, which will accepted by your constructor. Okay, accepted by your constructor. And now you can use the user object here. So you can use the object here. So instead of having to use something like this, okay, in this case, let's say like the ID, where do we get ID? So the ID, basically, if you want to get the ID, so you need to get from JSON response. You need to understand down here, you need to look at it. Data, ID is the first one. So get the first one, the first data here is index, sorry, just get ID. The second data, is name, email. Third data, so you need to provide the data. I believe that one doesn't respond, but definitely you need to print out where you want to get the data. Where do you get the data from? All right, so those kind of questions that you need to answer. Okay, but this one by using a very typical way of creating user object. Okay, but Flutter already provide you with the tools, so why not just use the tool, the auto tool? So instead of having to create one by one, all we have to do is just call from JSON, and the from JSON will automatically retrieve all the data from JSON response data. Oh yeah, I forgot, not data, you need to provide data. And also there's a one more, which is I think something like this. Okay, something like this. So it takes longer times to do that. Okay, because you need to extract the data one by one. Instead of using the auto, so we can just we can make things easier. So the tools from JSON basically cut things short, but you have to make sure your JSON response here, they are basically the same. So whatever names, email, phone parameter that's been defined is the same. And luckily we have the tools ready, and then that tools help us a lot to create that. Okay, so this is a very handy tools to use, and I believe they have updated them from the old version, because the old version you don't have this question mark up there. The question mark, this is basically one of the new requirement from DAT, which is the null safety. Okay, so the null safety, so when you have that, that basically allow you to avoid the null safety issue whenever you create object. And then down here also, there might be a little difference. Is there any? No, the same. Okay, right date, address, everything to JSON. To JSON, you need to remove this. The one that they use here, they use this, but actually there's no need for that in the new version. So the new version, there's no need for you to use this.id, this.name. So this is basically a new update to Flutter, but it's just warning, not error. All right, so you have your user object created automatically for you, and then you can use the features provided from Dart, which is from JSON, and also the other one is to JSON. The other things that you need to understand here is data structure. Okay, so data structure here used is a map data structure that map data into two, string and dynamic data. Map data structure is basically allow us to store data into map data. So this is a map data, string and dynamic value. Dynamic value basically allow you to store different type of data. So you have integer, double, string, boolean. So those kind of data can be accepted in this. Okay, so that's basically how easy it is nowadays to build user data model from JSON data. And this tool is basically available for free. And this guy here, this Javier github.io. Or just straight away to the link JSON.dot. I'm not quite sure the main link there. All right, but this guy provide us for free. Okay, so this is the power of open source. Okay, people share their tool, share their expertise for free, and you have to be thankful for that and continue to contribute, right? So once you log in, so what we created an object here, user object. So the user object here, once you created the user object, you can get the value already. So if you want, let's say like I want to get the value from object. So let me just disable this navigator first. I want to get information from object. It's just, let's say, print user dot, let me get an email. So print through my terminal. This is just a debug, just to show to you how to retrieve data from user. So let me try that, log in. So you can see there, email, retrieve from object user. If you want to retrieve, let's say, phone number, okay? So you want to retrieve phone number, log in, you can see there's a phone number there. So means now the user object can be used in this application and pass around. Okay, you need to pass around all these classes. And this is also another things that you need to understand really, really well. Okay, so each of the pages here, each of the pages that we have in this application basically built from classes. Okay, built from classes. And if you understand classes well, classes, they are independent of each other. They don't talk to each other. Okay, so the way that they talk, basically, if you have a data that you want to share, so let's say like you have your login page and the other side is your main screen or your payment screen or whatever screen that you have that allowed for user who are already logged in. So the user credential now is being bundled into object user. Okay, bundled into object user. So this object user you want to pass around. Okay, so that everybody know that we have a user already. We have a login user already in the application. So this object user, when you want to pass around, you pass through constructor. Okay, you can pass through constructor. So for example, like this one, let me enable my navigator back. So you can see there's a one difference from the usual navigator push. So the difference here, you can see there's a one parameter that I passed to the main screen class called user. All right, call user. So the main screen class here call pass this user to the main screen. So let's see the main screen now. So the main screen now added with this section of codes, final user in the main class. And this final user is an object, still an empty object. So this empty object need to be filled in, okay, through constructor. So you can see down here, there's a constructor main screen, super.key required this dot user. So which means that now the main screen implement a required parameter, which is a user parameter, which is not available before this. And now we have user information in this screen, the main screen. Okay, so you have this, you need to update. Let's say, let me just remove this one more, just to show to you the effect, and definitely this one. And usually you don't have that, right? There. So this is the standard class before this. So if you want to retrieve data from the login screen, from the login class to the main class, to the main screen, so you need to have an object here. Okay, so you have your usually we define in the stateful class up there, final user or whatever the names of the object that you want to give here. And this is a class, user defined class, you need to import. Okay, import user dot so that you have your model imported. And now your constructor is complaining. Okay, your constructor is complaining. So you can see it requires final field formal parameter, which is that we have here, to be added. So now you can see it basically added this, required this dot user. Okay, so once you have that, now you can use user object, and when user log in from here, and then this navigator dot push, it will push this new data user to that particular user. So you can see there, if I remove this, you can see main screen is complaining. Complaining because of not having the required parameters. So you can see there, the error there, add required argument user. So you need to add the required argument, press that. So what are the argument required here is an object, which we already created up here. So just pass around user. That's it. So now main screen will contain user information. So if I log in, so if I, before this, let me check, let me just push this. So you can see now, this is unregistered user. There's no user information here at all. So once I try to log in, once I log in, and this is success. So now you can see the information here. Madhanis and email is available throughout these classes because we pass this information around. We have now user object, and this user object contain data. Why do we need the data? Because later on, if you want to create new product, you want to make payment, you want to delete, update data, or all the data, all the CRUD database operation will require that information. Okay, will require that information. Where do you get the information? User will have to log in first. Without user login, you don't have the data. You don't have the credential to be able to do that. Okay, so that is the idea here. So when you go back to the main screen here, now you have data. How do you use the data? To use the data, all you need to do is just call widget dot. Okay, you call widget dot the object name dot whatever that you want. Okay, so for example, since this class or the main layout require the shared data, the shared class, which is the main menu here. So that's why the main menu also will require to implement this. Okay, the same updated with this, and then you can use widget.user.email to get email information. Widget.user.name to string to get name information. Okay, you can add whatever that you want based on that. So whatever that user contain, you can use. Okay, because now you pass around everything. The user pass around from one class to the other class so that you can use that information to perform whatever or functions that is required by your application. Okay, so you pass around. So now you can see all the classes here implement this. Okay, registration screen, no, because in registration we don't require that. The seller screen also the same. Okay, so you can see that because we want to pass around, passing object from one class to the other class so that they know that this object, this data exists. Okay, so this is how we pass data. Yeah. Okay, so since we have the new new features in our application, which is to create user, and all classes, the screen classes particularly require user information, and we don't implement login wall. Okay, we don't have login wall in this application. Okay, you don't want that to happen. So for the login wall, for the application will require few updates to the splash screen. So now you can see the splash screen by default, okay, because we don't implement auto login yet. Auto login means that we retrieve the data from shared preference and try to log in first. If fail, then we can allow user to log in. But here, as you can see, the splash screen I've updated before we navigate to the main screen, because main screen now will require user object. So we need to create a Fox user, or what we call as an unregistered user. So this is what you've seen. You can see here the splash screen contain small update, which here create a user, okay, and contain all this information. But this is unregistered user. Okay, this is just to create an object with unregistered information, unregistered data. So this user object here, we pass to the main screen. Okay, we pass to the main screen, and now main screen contain user information. So that's the update that we have to do. But we haven't yet implement auto login, but the auto login can actually be easily implemented here by using the HTTP object. So you can just load the shared preference first from your splash screen, and then try to log in with that credential. If found, log in with the user credential. If not found, log in by using the Fox user object. Okay, so that's the logic that you have to build. to implement auto login. Okay, auto login with user credential. So it's very easy actually to implement. You can just implement all here. Load shared preference, load email, load password. Try to log in with that credential. If found, success, log in with the credential. If not found, log in with the Fox user object. That's it. Okay. So that basically covered, oh yeah, this progress. If you want to implement a progress dialog, you can install progress dialog. Do I have progress dialog, which is end dialog? Okay, I don't have yet. I don't want to take times to do that because once you install new library, you need to make sure that you stop and then do the recompilation of the library. That may take some times to do. Okay, so we have now user object in our application, and we can use the user application, user data to implement that. And here, this is where I talk about the auto login. Okay, so the auto login implemented through the splash screen. So get the preference, check the preference, try to log in with the preference. If found, okay, create the object from JSON and then push to the main page. If not found, else create a Fox user and then pass to the main page. And if something goes wrong, such as timeout, here I said quite short, 5 seconds. Allow user to log in, but this is also things that you might need to consider also to check for the internet connection, because our application here, it heavily depend on the internet connection to be able to pull data from the database. Okay, so you might as well check for the internet connection first. Make sure that the database is basically available. The connection is available, then perform connection. Or maybe better, if the connection is available, you can check if the server is available. Okay, because sometimes even though you have the connection, your server is not working somehow. Okay, you can create that logic. So this is where it came to the to a more, what we call as a long list of logic checklist that you need to check first. Like for example, application version. So you can check for the version. If certain version require update, then you have to force user update. Okay, that's also you can do it through your splash screen. Okay, you can check your database and then compare the version of the application. Or you might want to do like maintenance mode. So check the database if this is a maintenance mode. So the application won't enter the main page because it's still under maintenance. Okay, so you can do that also. So there's so many things that you can do through your splash screen. Check your database, check internet connection, check the availability of the server, check everything. If everything okay, and then allow user to access the application. If not, don't allow user to access the application, because you want user to have great experience, good experience using your application, not a bad experience like suddenly hang and then your application keep on spinning forever. Okay, you don't want that to happen. Okay, you want your application to be able to respond and responsive. Okay, so you don't want to have the application stuck somewhere. Okay, and giving you no idea what's going on. If I know that, okay, now server is on maintenance mode. So you know the server is on maintenance mode, you cannot use the application. Let user know that it is happening. Okay, don't let user frustrate using your application by not knowing what happened. Okay, by not knowing what happened to the to that current situation, so user will frustrate and they no longer wanted to use your application anymore. So yeah, that is it happened a lot actually. It happened a lot, and there's a lot of application fail due to that. Okay, unable to satisfy user requirement, okay? And user expectation. Right? Okay, so I'm not going to do this yet for the auto login because we have done the login already. Maybe I can implement that later on. Right? So we've done with topic 7. And the next topic is about the seller's tab, or seller's page screen, which allow user to list their product or upload their product. Okay, so we're going to do that in topic this next topic, and what time is already 9:46. 9:46. Maybe I can quickly implement this logic. Okay, just a very short logic actually. Check and log in, which is asynchronous. This is implemented. How to log in? All right. So let me just quickly do this. Maybe we can just check that. Right. So check and log in, or maybe I can just create into your splash screen here. This is splash screen. So I'm going to create. You can just create inside here, but everything look cluttered already. So I'm going to create under functions. Start with void auto log in. So here we have this is asynchronous because we use HTTP. So we choose shared preference. So I'm going to use shared preference, get email and password first. Okay, put it there. Import shared preference. And then definitely because we have await here, we need to add asynchronous modifier, which future written, but there's no need for future void because we didn't return anything, but they just put it there, future void. This is written. This is asynchronous, indicating that this is asynchronous function. All right, so we get email and password. So we assign them to email and password. And then what we have here, you can create the user object there, but not yet. For email and password, you can just check for email length and one, or is not empty, should be also okay. Email dot is not empty, should be okay also. You can check on that. So if it's not empty, then we can perform login. So login here through HTTP, we can just take the code from our login screen. So our login screen is up here. We can just straight away take this one. And then up until here, should be no problem. And put it down here. But definitely there's no need for this. There's no need for the else statement. Material page route should be okay. HTTP, we need HTTP object. So HTTP object through package. Okay, so pass the data. So we have config, import config. Email and password can just define there. So this one is email is not empty. This one also the same. It's not password, just pass. And JSON we need to import dot convert. So this one we can just remove, which way too long. One can remove. This one also can remove. This one also can remove. There's no need for that. And we push, if found, we push to the main screen. Right. Right, same with this, but else, okay, so else we go to create empty user. So empty user available up here. And same with this, just take this one. And actually we can just remove this and then put it inside else statement. So this is else. Put it down there. All right, so if there's internet connection, but if something goes with the something is wrong with the internet connection, so here we implemented timeout. Okay, but if you want to implement timeout, also should be okay. Right. It should be working now, and then we call auto login from our init state. There you go. You can see how easy it is, right? You have the code ready, but you have to know where to take the codes, how to implement them, what's the logic behind them. Yeah, so that's why there's a new tool if in the world of computing. So this is something that maybe I can share with you. That they say that's going to disrupt this. Just short. All right, so we have completed auto log in. Let's try if we manage to get it to log in. But we need to make sure that we have our timer. Oh, I didn't implement timer here, sorry. So I need to implement timer for the application because I removed the timer already. So the timer is this, or else you get like straight away. So we have timer down there, but we don't have timer up here. So implement timer. Remove this one. So we have timer already. All right, now done. So let me try to reload. Let's see if the application automatically log in with user credential. Okay, so spinning. See if you have user information already. There you go. Okay, auto login. So which means that user don't have to remember their credential anymore. Or we don't have to go to login and then perform the login steps. And now user auto login into the application, which is much easier. So always think something that can make your user experience much better with your application. Okay, so don't create more stress, don't create more steps that is not needed. So if something can be automated, try to automate that process and make everything easier. Okay, so don't make things that harder for user to use your application. Make it easier, make it fun. Okay, so yeah, that is for the topic 7. Covered with the auto login, done with the completed with the auto login. So in the next topics, we're going to look topic 8 into seller's page tab. So we can look a little bit here. So what we have here is a list of product names. It's a list of product names where we can just list products information, and then a user can just upload their products and then manage their products through their. In this case, we use seller's tab, but in our case, we need to access the seller page here. Okay, so your seller's page here, you should be able to see the product information here. And then we can have a menu somewhere here. So these two menu, these two icon here. I'm going to move this to profile page here, but we don't have that yet. So seller page, we can have a button. Let's say this one is I use this what do you call it, this button here, and then this button allow user to add new items to the product. But to be able to access this, user will have to log in first. Okay, they have their credential ready, then they can add new product. If they don't have their credential, they cannot add product. So the product is basically contain something very simple form. which allow user to select, take picture, add new product informations, and insert product into database. Okay, so you can see basically the same with user registration, but in this case, we use for product registration. So you can see the output there, something like this. This is all form, and definitely you need backend to handle data, and then process data is quite long, a little bit longer. Okay, something like this. User can take picture and then upload the picture into server. Okay, so we're going to do that in the next class. Okay, upload image by using image picker library, which is very easy to use. And take picture, upload picture, and then store into database. And later on, we're going to look into location-based service also to retrieve user information, so user location information. Okay, so the product location information can be retrieved through location-based services. All right, so that is all for today.